Entertainment entrepreneur Mia Khalifa tries to do gaand mein ungli to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is a football legend. Well, what happened a few days ago on February the 26th was Zlatan tweeted that athletes must stay in their lane and not get involved in stuff like politics. He was hinting, of course, at LeBron James in the NBA, who is an active voice against injustice. So, somebody in the entertainment industry decided to score a goal. Mia Khalifa tweeted that Zlatan should not use his status to advertise TVs. I mean, look at her tweet. This woman has balls. Although my friends who watch her entertainment content suggest that she doesn't, I don't know, does she? What's cheap in Arab countries but expensive over here? Gold, electronics, balu, and of course, gasoline. As of today, petrol prices in India have peaked to 91.17 rupees and diesel is at 81.47 rupees per litre. Now that's fucking expensive. In the United States, in Indian rupees, it's around 58 rupees, and in Pakistan, it's around 65 rupees. It's fucking cheaper over there. And don't even get me started on oil prices in Arab countries. वहाँ पे पानी महंगा है and oil is cheaper. वो लोग गांड पानी से धोते हैं, ऑयल से धोते हैं मैंने उनका गाड़ी स्टॉप हो गया तो लगता है जमीन में ही पाइप गाड़ देते हैं. I can imagine an Arab telling to me, Yahi, our car stop, we put pipe in the ground, Yahi. What do? You go to petrol pump? What is petrol pump, Yahi? It is when you buy petrol. Pretty soon, India will hold the world record for the highest petrol prices in the world. Along with this, of course. 65 grapes eaten using your feet within 3 minutes. Now that's a record. Now how else do you want to enjoy that delicious flavor of grape juice mixed with that stomach rumbling, mouth watering, feet odor? I'm a fucking idiot, guys. I know that. Airlines. Airlines have seen a 10 to 12% decrease in bookings after states insist on COVID-19 result. West Bengal has joined Maharashtra and Karnataka in insisting that people be COVID negative when they board the flight. Now, I get that this precaution is necessary. I really do. But let's take a moment to understand the pain that these airlines are going through. I mean, fuel prices इतना बढ़ गया है, उसके ऊपर कोविड के असर के बाद मुझे लग रहा है इनको दुकान बंद करके ठेला खोलना पड़ेगा वड़ा पाव का. And I think that might be more profitable. Imagine SpiceJet Vada Pav versus Indigo Vada Pav. I'll go for SpiceJet Vada Pav. I mean, they've got spice in their fucking name. And that's the only place where SpiceJet will ever beat Indigo. Now let's get a little serious. Pakistan's toughest face-off with India. And I'm not talking about cricket. That's not tough at all. इतिहास में हमने उनकी बहुत गांड मारी है क्रिकेट में. I'm talking about the line of control, LOC. India and Pakistan have issued a joint statement on Thursday to observe strictly all ceasefire agreements along the LOC and other sectors that was in hotline discussions by the Director General of Military Operations. February 24th, 25th midnight, this has been set into stone by the two countries. Just one thing, Pakistan, don't violate this ceasefire agreement like you violated it 14,000 times in the fucking past. The only rule I think that has been violated more than 14,000 times in this blue planet of ours is that 18 plus rule of pawn sites. Asia's richest man and India's Mota Bhai, Mukesh Ambani, was at the receiving end of a little scare. A fucking bomb. An SUV was parked outside his house containing 20 explosive gelatin sticks. And a note inside the SUV was found addressed to him and his wife that said that this was just a trailer. अब जिसी ने भी ये लिखा है, प्लीज पूरी पिक्चर मत दिखाना क्योंकि मुकेश अंबानी की वजह से हमें 4G इंटरनेट थ्रो अवे प्राइस पे मिल रहा है. Imagine if we kill this guy. He is the guy because of whom we are able to watch porn without it buffering. And now, on to the main story of the night. India's cancer. And I'm not talking about our government. I'm talking about our education system. And by calling our education system a cancer, I think we're being a little too unfair to cancers. Cancers at least kill the individual. There's no more suffering. Our country has been suffering because of our education system without the end to our pain being in sight. Now I felt a little good because when I googled the definition of education, this is what dictionary.com defines it as: the act or process of imparting and acquiring general knowledge, development of powers of reasoning and judgment, and generally developing the intellect of a person enough so that he is mature. Now, I felt good because I was half expecting some Indian professor in some blog defining it as the act of memorizing stuff so you can score well in this arcane measurement of our intellect, namely exams. Here's some bullshit we had to learn in 10th grade. Louis XVI, 1754 to 1793, was the last king of France before the fall of the monarchy during the French Revolution. Now, please can you explain to me why the fuck did I have to learn that in the first place? Now, there's a lot of stuff wrong with our education system. But let's first understand how the system came into place. There was this fuckface named Lord Thomas Babington Macaulay back during colonial times. Now this guy was a smart motherfucker. He had an IQ of about 180. So the Brits deemed him to be suitable to come to India and educate us. So they asked him to do so. He was reluctant, but then they paid him £10,000, which is in today's money is around £500,000. So he therefore agreed to do it. He came to India and he observed a few things and he went back. And in Parliament, he said something along these lines, that if we don't teach Indians English, then the Indian youth is going to touch a cow's ass for the rest of their lives. Well, Macaulay, fuck you. And that's how this English emphasizing education system came into India. And by the way, we were the most richest and advanced society before the British decided to grace us with their presence. And we have the fucking Kama Sutra. Have you watched British porn? It lasts for 5 minutes. Indian porn, 9 fucking hours. And they felt the need to educate us. Fast forward to today. We are producing more unemployable engineers than the population of Switzerland. I myself am an engineering student. In fact, we are shooting this in our engineering campus at midnight. What's my future? Judging by this, pretty fucking bleak. Our education system caters differently to the rich and differently to the poor. The rich get to attend private schools where they're coached perfectly on attending these cutthroat competitive exams that I'm shortly going to talk about. The poor, however, they have to sit in empty classrooms where their teachers either are not present or are assigned to some government duties. टेक्स्ट बुक्स के बारे में बात करते हैं. अरे बहन, हमारे टेक्स्ट बुक्स NCERT वालों ने बनाया था और पता नहीं कौन सा माल फूक के बनाया है, बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी एरर्स इन द टेक्स्ट बुक. Just Google it once. And if we wanted to score marks in our exams, we had to write exactly what was there in the textbook. Doesn't matter what was right. Our teachers explicitly told us so. It made me feel like the closest thing I ever had to a girlfriend was the NCERT textbook. Because doesn't matter what the correct thing is, NCERT is always right. यहाँ बेंचो साइंटिस्ट लोग गांड फाड़ के डिस्कवरीज कर रहे हैं और NCERT वाले लोग बोलते हैं नहीं, रिसर्च की माँ चुदाओ, हम जो बोलते हैं वही सही है. Now if you wanted to do well at school, then you have to take tuition classes or coaching classes. स्कूल में तो बकचोदी होती थी, तो पैसा दे के बाहर जाके पढ़ना पड़ता था. And depending upon which city you are taking coaching in, coaching costs you around 2.5 to 3 lakhs every year. And I'm talking about the lower end of coaching classes. This is not affordable by everybody. Now, somehow people take loans and get into coaching institutes, and the competition is so cutthroat that a lot of them are reduced to suicide. The suicide rates in India are huge. There's a statistic that every 20 minutes some student somewhere in India commits suicide, and every 50 minutes someone attempts to commit suicide. Because coaching institutes are so expensive, there has always been a huge disparity between the competitive exam ranks of city students and those from rural poor backgrounds. It is so rare that a rural poor person cracks these competitive exams that when they do, it makes headlines. चलो कोचिंग ले लिया, गांड घिस के पढ़ाई कर ली, अब कॉलेज में एडमिशन करवाएंगे. But no, there is something called the reservation system. 15% of seats in India are reserved for scheduled caste, 7.5% for scheduled tribes, and 27% for other backward caste. That's a total of 49.5% of seats that are reserved already. A person who scores a lesser rank, who's lesser qualified than you, might get into a better college just because he's born in a certain caste. Now don't even fucking get me started on the caste system. That's a segment for another time. Do you know why Olympics isn't held in India? It's because first place will get gold medal, second place will get silver, third place will get bronze, and platinum will be awarded to reservation category people. Bhencho, Olympics में भी reservation घुसा देंगे हम लोग. And I understand that this rule was made to uplift certain people from very bad conditions, but does this rule have significance even today? I don't really know. I'm not a very smart person. So in the comment section, just explain to me why the reservation system still holds significance today. The Right to Education Act 2009 makes it compulsory for every child to receive free education up till the age of 14. But in reality, this is not happening. A majority of students that deserve such a free education are not getting it, and the additional costs that go along with it, like the cost of uniforms and books, are not being borne by the government. Hence, such poor rural kids drop out early in their education. Now, our government has done something that just might be a step in the right direction. They've come up with the National Education Policy 2020. This is a draft that you won't find online. What you will find instead is a 66-page summary on this NEP. It basically outlines everything. So let me walk you through it. It's a 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, as opposed to the 10 plus 2 structure that we've gone through. 5 years of preschool, 3 years of preparatory stage, 3 years of secondary school, and 4 years of graduation. And students, something that really excites me is students are now able to combine streams. If you're studying biology, you can study finance at the same time. This really excites me because I felt that I was a science student. I wanted to study finance at the same time. I really wanted to know about investing. I wanted to know about entrepreneurship, business. Why weren't we taught all of that stuff? We were not taught how to sell. We were not taught how to communicate and negotiate. But we were really taught well how to memorize stuff and vomit it in the paper. Under this system, people are hoping that vocational training will be given. Vocational training means internships in craft, plumbing, carpentry, and law, stuff like that. Board exams will be made easier. They will focus more on core competencies rather than memorized, rote learning stuff. And it is also suggested under the system that up till 6th grade, students are taught in their mother tongue. This might satisfy our ego, but is it really a good step? Because say I'm a kid in Karnataka and I'm studying everything in Kannada. My father gets transferred to Punjab. What happens to me then? How am I going to cope with Punjabi? This will widen the gap between rich and poor students. I mean, rich people who go to private schools, they will learn in English, and the poor who will keep studying in vernacular languages, they'll feel the pressure. This will widen the gap between the rich and the poor. And teachers will require a 4-year B.Ed degree to teach in this system. Is that really implementable given our lack of resources? Our budget recently announced has allocated 6.1% lower amount of money this time than last year. That's around 3.3% of our GDP, which is one of the lowest in this world. And did I mention the White Hat Junior movement? Every student is supposed to start coding from 6th grade. I think this is a good step, but a lot of people could argue with me. See, we've gone over good and the bad. But the fact remains that this is still a draft. It has not gone through parliament yet. And our history is ripe with examples of promising drafts that have never been implemented. So let's see what happens to the NEP. I hope it gets implemented, but with our infrastructure and the amount of money that goes towards education, it is a far-fetched possibility. But we are a country full of surprises. This guy had become the president of the Congress party, so something as far-fetched as this might actually come to fruition. Only time will tell. Thank you. If you've reached the end of this video, thank you. You can go through some pretty boring content. Now let me introduce you to my friends. This is Amrut, this is Sankalp, Suraj and Meti, and I'm the chief Bakra, Neha Jamadar. What we're trying to do here is speak about current affairs and then a main topic, what India is going through. Now we're not particularly funny people. All of us are as flavorless as people can be, but we've tried our best. So if you found it boring, forgive us. If you haven't, then please comment below. And can you give us suggestions for next week's topic, because we're out of ideas. So anyways, thank you for watching and see you next week. Bye.